Daily download.
A political shakeup in Russia, sharp words for the Petraeus Iraq report, and a remedy for a declining population. Philip Alexio in for Doug Bernard. Glad to have you with us. Our daily day begins with a big surprise in Russia, where President Vladimir Putin shook up the government, naming an almost unknown as prime minister. Viktor Zubkov, who replaces Mikhail Fradkov, is a financial regulator who worked for Putin in the 90s. The nomination coming hours after Fradkov and his government resigned in advance of upcoming parliamentary and presidential elections. Mr. Putin asked the largely supportive Duma to approve Zubkov. Mr. Putin says he will step down next year, but the Constitution requires him to do so at the end of his second four-year term. U.S. General David Petraeus spent Monday and Tuesday of this week presenting and explaining his report on Iraq to Congress. The commander of the U.S. forces in Iraq says he envisions the withdrawal of roughly 30,000 U.S. troops from the country by the middle of 2008. But the idea did not sit well with this man in Iraq.
General Petraeus is free to present his report, but we don't support such a report. We want the U.S. troops to withdraw under a systematic timetable. The Petraeus strategy was doomed to failure.
Back here in the U.S., some Americans, such as this woman, were also skeptical of the Petraeus report.
I think they're trying to pacify us, okay? This has been going on for over 4 years. Come on, things should have been better than what they are now.
Deborah Parsons has two sons in Iraq, one who has served 2 tours there and another on his first tour in Baghdad. Deborah says watching the Petraeus congressional hearings did nothing to convince her that her sons will soon be out of harm's way. No surprise then, that report of keen interest for U.S. troops now in Iraq. Even with the president's surge reduction, about 130,000 troops will remain there for an unspecified time. Iraqis, too, paying close attention. The Shiite residents of Washash here voicing opposition to continued presence of coalition forces. Uniting both Iraqi Shiites and Sunnis this week, the start of the Ramadan holiday in a few days. A new case of foot and mouth disease is suspected on the outskirts of London. British officials investigating the highly contagious viral disease that might have affected animals at this farm in Surrey, close to a previous outbreak last month. A control zone now in place around this area with these cattle to be slaughtered. Not harmful to humans, but a 2001 outbreak devastated Britain's agriculture industry after the slaughter of 7 million animals. Ethiopia celebrating the third millennium Tuesday in Addis Ababa. They're 7 years late, but who cares? It's a party. A Coptic calendar party, I should say, instead of the more common Gregorian calendar we all follow. Prime Minister Meles Zenawi says it's the beginning of the end of the dark ages in Ethiopia. Still, the country remains one of the world's poorest nations. But what's an Ethiopian New Year without pop group Black Eyed Peas performing at $170 a ticket? Make a baby, win a prize. A new contest in Russia's Volga region. That's because lovers aren't, well, doing it enough. You see, Volga needs to make up for its population shortfall, one they've had since 1991. So the region's governor declared September 12th a day of conception. The grand prize winner gets a locally made SUV, but everybody who has a baby in the local hospital is a winner. Kind of a winner if you don't have a baby. Anyway. We'll see you tomorrow.